You have to end TB. You don't have to control it. You have to end it. So 3 more tests. Khatri test. This is new non-sputum diagnostic which is easy to run. And 3 gene sets has potential clinical application for diagnosis and monitoring treatment response. It can distinguish between active tuberculosis from latent tuberculosis. The advantage is it is easier and cheaper than existing methods, and it removes the need to collect sputum. It can be performed without electricity by using a solar powered PCR machine, and it works even in resistance to antibiotic drugs. So it's a very good drug, it's a very good test, and it is being evaluated. Then CTB test. A new skin test combines PPD plus high specificity of interferon gamma release assays, and it measures body's immune response to 2 TB antigens and high risk of latent TB to active TB tuberculosis, which can be identified. Both CTB and IGRA or gamma interferon had a specificity of 97%. The specificity of CTB, unlike the skin sensitivity test, was not impacted by the BCG vaccine, and the sensitivity of CTB was comparable to gamma interferon. So it's a very good test. Now disease is variable, and unmet need is for a new vaccine is greater efficacy in preventing respiratory form of TB in adults and help avoiding transmission of disease. It's very, very important. And for more than 80 years, no new vaccine has been successfully developed. Chinglefoot trial was done way back 1940s, and after that, 1960s onwards, nothing new has come up. So improving BCG vaccines, there are 2 main strategies to improve the immunity conferred by the current BCG vaccine by boosting it with new subunit vaccines and focused on the construction of new, more effective live vaccines capable to replace the current BCG and to be used as prime vaccines. So, lot of things are coming up. MTV72 and ESAT6, phase 3 trial. They are in phase 3 trial. So, good things that we will have a novel vaccine and immunogenic in preclinical studies. And as you all know, when any vaccine is introduced or any drug is introduced, that is a wonderful drug till new comes up. So, new drugs, we badly require new drugs in our TB management. New, shorter, cheaper, safe, effective anti-tubercular regimes are needed to boost TB elimination. However, since the market launch of rifampicin in the early 1960s, no new anti-tubercular drug has been specifically developed until the recently approved 2 new drugs. And these are bedaquiline and delamanid. Bedaquiline is being, there are a lot of research is going on and projects are going on in our country with the bedaquiline, and they have shown an excellent response, especially in cases of XDR tuberculosis. So bedaquiline is a diarylquinine class of antibiotic, selectively targets the proton pump of ATP synthesis, approved for MDR tuberculosis, 400 mg for 2 weeks daily, followed by 200 mg 3 times a week for 22 weeks, total 6 months. Delamanid is nitronidazole class of antibiotic, inhibit the synthesis of mycolic acids, approved for MDR TB, 100 mg twice a day for 6 months. So both the drugs, 6 months, excellent response. Lot of new drugs are in pipeline, and they are all from the class diarylquinolones and DPR-E1 inhibitors and ethambutol-like drugs and oxazolidines like linezolid we know, then we have tedizolid, Sutizolid and some protected only the numbers. So promising new drugs under development, stage 1, phase 1 trial, phase 2 trials have completed. So in a short span of time we will have good drugs, anti-tubercular drugs, which will shorten the number of months for treatment. New WHO guideline for MDR TB regrouping of drugs. This is very important. I will share few minutes with you with this slide so that you can know that this regime of 24 months will be reduced to 9 to 12 months of treatment with MDR TB. So foremost is fluoroquinolones. You have levofloxacin, moxifloxacin and gatifloxacin. So a word of caution here lies with that we should use these fluoroquinolones as a reserve drug and they should not be used as a first line drug in our day-to-day practice. So fluoroquinolones should always be avoided as a first line drug in our day-to-day practice because India is a high burden tubercular state, and if we are using these drugs as an antibiotic, then these drugs are going to fail and they are the backbone for the MDR tuberculosis regime which is coming up. So a word of caution, they should not be used as a first line drugs. Second line injectables like amikacin, gepiromycin and kanamycin. Core second line agents are ethionamide, prothionamide, cycloserine, linezolid and clofazimine. And add-on agents D1, D2, D3. In D1 you have paracetamide, ethambutol, high dose of isoniazid. See, in failing regime, you need to have high dose of INH, meaning thereby 15 to 20 milligram per kg body weight. It's a very high dose. Then D2 is betaculin and delamanid. And D3 you have PAS, imipenem, silazicin combination, meropenem, amoxicillin, glucosinate and thiocetazone. And thiocetazone should never be started unless and until HIV status is confirmed. So for all the MDR patients, we are suspecting a patient to be having an MDR tuberculosis, you should always have the HIV status of that patient done before going in for the MDR tuberculosis treatment. Revised guideline reduces the dosage or duration of treatment from 18 to 24 months to 9 to 12 months, 50%. Shorter MDR TB treatment regime is recommended under specific conditions only and recommended for all patients with rifampicin resistant tuberculosis regardless if isoniazid resistance is confirmed or not. So if there is resistance to rifampicin, that means it is MDR and you have to treat it accordingly. So rifampicin resistant MDR to be during intensive phase, a regime with at least 5 effective phase, you should always get the bacterial cultures done every month till the patient is negative. And when the patient gets negative, then you have cultures done every 3 months.